Hello again. We were musing last time on whether the organization would change if Fred Franz were no longer on the scene. Here is Ray Franz's take on that. I am, however, personally inclined to feel that whatever changes come will be minor and will not alter the basic doctrinal position and attitude of the organization to any major extent. Of the governing body members who would remain, there is no one with the ability to couch new interpretations in the impressive language and intricate argumentation found in his, that is Fred Franz's, writings. Most of the members do very little writing, some none at all. Lloyd Barry is the only one who has written books, and these have been simply restatements of existing views with nothing new advanced. The organization's other principal writers are not members of the body, nor do they profess to be of the anointed class. If the ultimate effect of the restructuring of 1975 to 76 was like moving the inner walls of a house around, then any future changing of personnel within the administration might be compared to a rearranging of the furniture and adding new pieces. In both cases, the house itself remains the same. Aside from the president, of the 14 remaining members of the governing body, those exercising the most powerful influence currently are Milton Henschel, Ted Jarras, and Lloyd Barry. It would be unusual if anything these members combined in favoring were not unquestioningly supported by members Cary Barber, Martin Petzinger, Jack Barr, and George Gangas. Though somewhat more individualistic than these last four mentioned, Albert Schroeder and Karl Klein would probably follow suit in most cases. The votes of this number would be determinative. He notes in the footnote that in the meantime, before the publishing of this book, Grant Suter had died. If the past is any indication, the direction taken by those leading members will follow a conservative line, resisting any course or recommendation that does not uphold and promote the traditional teachings, methods, and policies now in force. What has been published and done in the past few years gives no basis whatsoever for expecting the kind of reform some feel must come. It is true that many of the governing body members are in their 70s and 80s. Any new replacements, however, will have to meet the approval of the remaining members, and particularly of those with dominant influence. There is no question but that it is becoming more and more difficult to find suitable candidates for membership on the body, in view of the dwindling number of anointed men. This may someday oblige the governing body to back away from its fundamental requirements that its membership is only open to those of such a class. That would be difficult to harmonize with their doctrine about the privileged status of the faithful and discreet slave class, and may be avoided as long as possible. They may be helped by the fact that periodically younger members of the organization decide that they are of the anointed and thus become possible candidates for membership in the body. It's interesting to muse upon this last paragraph in the light of what has happened in the subsequent 30 plus years, the doubling, more than doubling, of members who claim to be of the anointed class and partake of the emblems every memorial. Now Ray goes to asking, shall we blame men for the evils done by the Watchtower? And I think this is a very alive question in the light of the experience of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses around the world. There's a lot of judgment upon particularly the leaders in the governing body for what has happened over the last 2 or 3 generations. So what does Ray think of all of this? A major mistake in looking for reform from the direction of personnel changes is, I believe, in thinking that the situation owes to the men in charge. Only in a secondary sense is that the case. Primarily, it is not the men. It is the concept that controls the premise on which the whole movement is founded. It can never be overlooked that what most markedly distinguishes the beliefs of Jehovah's Witnesses is not their disbelief of eternal torment, or of the inherent immortality of the soul, or of the Trinity, nor their use of the name Jehovah, or their belief in a paradise earth. Every one of those features can be found in other religious organizations. So, in the next segment, what is then the foundation doctrine, or the distinguishing element in Watchtower teaching?